Hello and welcome to Are You Prepared to Recover Your VMware Environment? Today's webinar is sponsored by Rubrik and produced by Actual Tech Media. My name is Scott Becker. I'm from Actual Tech Media and I'm excited to be your moderator for this special event. Now, before we get to today's great content, we do have a few housekeeping items that will help you get the most out of this session. First off, we want this to be an informative event for you, so we encourage any questions in the questions box in our webinar control panel. While we won't have a dedicated Q&A session at the end of this presentation, we will make sure the Rubrik team gets all of your questions and can get back to you. That Q&A panel is also the place to let us know about any technical issues that you might be experiencing. A browser refresh is going to fix most audio, video, or slide advancement issues, but if that doesn't work, just let us know in the Q&A and we'll provide further technical assistance. Now, in your handout section of the webinar control panel, you'll find that we're offering several resources. I'd especially like to call your attention to some of the resources from Rubrik. There's a link for details about achieving near zero RPO and RTO with orchestrated application recovery, as well as PDFs about Rubrik's orchestrated application recovery solutions. You'll also find a link to the Gorilla Guide book club where you can get access to Actual Tech Media's great printed resources on technology topics, as well as a link to the ATM Events Center, which has our calendar of upcoming events. I encourage you to access those resources now and share them with your friends and your colleagues. Now, at the end of this webinar, we will be awarding a $300 Amazon gift card to one lucky registrant. Of course, you must be in attendance during the live event to qualify for the prize. The official terms and conditions of today's prize drawing can also be found in your handout section. Just scroll to the bottom and you'll find the prize terms and conditions link there. Finally, one of the best benefits of this event is the opportunity to ask a question of our expert presenters. So to help encourage those questions, we have that special additional prize for you. That's another Amazon gift card, this one for $50 for the best question. At the end of the event, we'll look at all the questions, pick out the very best one, and contact that prize winner. And with that, let's get to today's timely content. So it is my pleasure to introduce you to our presenters today. We have Kim Lambert, who's Principal Product Marketing Manager at Rubrik. And we have Joe Harlan, who's GTM Tech Lead for App Flows at Rubrik. So I'm going to turn things over to Kim.
Thanks so much. Yes. Hi there. I'm Kim Lambert. Happy to be here with you all. So at Rubrik, I am really focused on the ability we have as a data security company to ensure the recoverability of your data as a critical component of your overall IT security strategy. And as part of that, I am the principal product marketing lead for our orchestrated application recovery solution. And I worked with the team who built this solution prior to it being even available to our customers. And now, as it continues to advance and be adopted at an increasing rate, it makes sense to also have somebody else that you'll be hearing from. So you're not only listening to me, you'll also be hearing from our technical go-to-market lead, Joe Harlan. And Joe has over 20 years of experience operating and designing large-scale data center infrastructure environments. And Joe really puts his technical acumen to use, educating folks like you on addressing and overcoming the challenges of modern disaster recovery planning and execution. So what are you going to learn from us today? Well, first of all, we want to teach you how to simplify vSphere recovery from cyber attacks, from application outages, natural disasters. And we want you to know how you can get your business back online as quickly as possible and how to do that as simply as you possibly can. And then, as I mentioned, we've got Joe. Joe's going to show you the latest advancements we're working on in orchestration for disaster recovery, which are designed to enable you to do even more planning before an event actually happens, so during peacetime, as they say, so that you're ready to work for wartime and get your business back online faster. So you will see a great demo from Joe during this as well. All right, let's get into it. First and foremost, as our team brings new solutions to the market, we don't want to do it in a bubble. We don't want to do it in a vacuum. We want to make sure that we thoroughly understand where there's opportunity for improvement for you and where we can bring more value. So throughout the development, throughout the beta phase of orchestrated application recovery, we did over 100 customer interviews trying to really thoroughly understand where we can address soft spots in the market so that we can bring you that more value in terms of not only disaster recovery, but in terms of recovery from what's top of mind right now, cyber attacks. So these are really the key three focus areas that we came to understand were important and what we needed to tackle. So first, consolidation. Do more with your backup. Typically, when you do put an automated recovery solution in place, it's a point solution. So it requires you to store the data twice, to have a separate set of replication, a separate set of VMs or appliances to support that solution. So do more with your backup. We wanted to say, let's make it not just a backup, let's make it business continuity. Let's make it orchestrated protection from cyber attacks. Secondly, operational ease. Let's tear down silos. Let's say instead of having to get your FTEs trained and certified on different point solutions throughout the ecosystem, which can really introduce more cost opportunity for human error and just operational overhead, hey, let's consolidate. Let's bring in operational management for backup, cyber recovery, orchestrated recovery, and so on into one single pane of glass. And that's really the driver overall in terms of our design philosophy. And then lastly, and I think most importantly, is you need to be able to prove your readiness to the business. You need to be able to prove at any point in time that your business is in a position to recover from a cyber attack or a natural disaster or just an outage. It's really important for you, as you know, to be able to prove to your leadership and your organization that you are disaster ready. You are recovery ready. Okay, so now that I've talked to you a little bit about the tenets which orchestrated application and recovery was designed, let's talk about the implementation, why it's really going to be your advantage for recovery from a ransomware attack. So like any good solution, it's built on a strong foundation. In this case, orchestrated recovery is part of our SaaS-based data security platform for immutable append-only backup and recovery, and it supports a zero-trust architecture in terms of access. And that platform is Rubrik Security Cloud. Now, with Rubrik Security Cloud, we can actually look at all of your data, we can aggregate all of it, we can give you the data insights as well from your metadata. And this metadata is what powers several applications we've built for this platform. Now, Rubrik solutions keep your data safe, easy to recover in the face of cyber attacks and operational failures, so you can recover the data you need however and whenever you need it to keep your business running. And the solution is organized into three key pillars that are mapped to the United States NIST standard. So you've got data resilience. You want to be able to safeguard your data with secure backups so that it can't be deleted, it can't be compromised or encrypted, and it's always going to be available for you to recover. You got here data observability. So you want to be able to identify when, where, how attacks have impacted systems by continuously being able to scan data over time so compromises can be remediated quickly. And then over here on the far right, this is all data recovery. So you want to be able to quarantine malware. You want to be able to actually avoid reinfection in that recovery process. So recover data quickly with guided file level, object level, application level, system-wide operations so business operations can be restored really quickly. So that's a bit of that. Now, the next step is how do we layer in these solutions? And so let me dive into these three little pillars here. How do we layer in these solutions, these kind of capabilities, while keeping as minimal an on-prem footprint as we possibly can? Well, that's where our SaaS platform comes into play, delivering SaaS-based applications to increase the value of backups that you take with Rubrik. And I'll highlight several of these here today. One of the applications that you see here is ransomware monitoring and investigation. And this capability is able to learn your data set over time. It can warn you if we see anomalous behavior, and it's a tool that's great for triaging what has been attacked in the event that you get hit by ransomware. Secondly, here, let's focus on data governance or data classification. So understanding, is my sensitive data where I intended it to be? I'm analyzing my data risk, helping to comply with data privacy regulations. But what's more, also being able to quickly understand what data potentially was exfiltrated as the consequence of our cyber attack. Then there's threat hunting. So being able to scan your backups and identify IOCs, indicators of compromise, as part of threat hunting within your ecosystem to see if malware is present based on rules provided to you by your incident management partner. And within this same suite of products in an enterprise solution that we provide to customers is where you'll also find orchestrated application recovery here. So this is part of the solution stack that wants to be round off the back end of an attack by being able to bring your business back online. So if you get hit, now you may be thinking, well, I have orchestrated application recovery today. Why is this different? And it's really in the design. The orchestrated application recovery engine lives within our SaaS platform. We don't consume a footprint within your production environment. So when a hacker tries to attack your backups, they're incapable. They try to attack your virtual environment. We're here at the ready then to support you in orchestrated recovery. And that's when and if you need us. So how do we give you this orchestrated recovery? Now, orchestrated means orderly. So obviously we need to bring things back online in an orderly time fashion, right? So how we do that is via something that we call an application blueprint, or blueprint for short. So think of it as really a comprehensive run book. And that is where you're going to go in as an operations team. You're going to tell us these VMs are representative of a particular application or business service. It's also where you're going to tell us things such as the boot order, which order do these VMs need to come up online, so the application stack comes online in a production ready state. And what resources would you like us to use at your recovery site? What compute storage and otherwise, what postscripts do we need to run? What networking changes need to take place? So think of a blueprint as something that you would design and implement during peacetime so that you're ready for wartime. We can allow you then to have an easy button to bring your applications back online. All right, secondly, as I mentioned earlier, possibly one of the most important aspects of the solution is being able to verify your readiness tests. So failovers, can I test my recovery methodology? I'm very happy to say that since the birth of this solution, our Rubrik customers have had this capability to test and verify readiness standing, the entire application stack online, exercising all of the same mechanics of a real recovery event, and being able to interact with the application, but doing so in isolation so that it doesn't negatively impact production. And furthermore, we even include PDF reports that are boilerplated and downloadable on an event by event basis to really ease that administrative burden. So DR testing becomes a lot easier. You're able to produce that readiness report whenever your business asks you to do so. And then lastly, flexibility. It's really about dealer's choice here. So we want to give you the flexibility to leverage what solution you think best meets your needs and your strategy. So in addition to being able to recover locally, being able to do an orchestrated local recovery of your application, which is key for cyber attacks, isolated cyber attacks. We also support the ability to fail over between two physical locations. So you have the ability to fail over from your on-prem to VMware Cloud, whether it be on AWS, Azure, or even Google for that matter. So it's all about flexibility, being able to look into the future of giving you driving cloud economics in your recovery, but also supporting what may be the most important thing to you. So prem to prem or just local recovery. So there is that flexibility there for all of the recovery options. So now let's take all of this and put it into context. I think this is really interesting to explain about how this solution, as well as some of the others that I mentioned within Rubrik Security Cloud at the beginning of our discussion, how does that recover your business faster? So to give you a little bit of insight into what happens when you're a Rubrik customer, we have a team inside Rubrik. It's a specialized team that we call the ransomware response team. So everyone who's a Rubrik customer has access to this team. If you utter the word ransomware, we're just going to start engaging in a series of events behind the scenes to support you. So first, you're going to get a technical person assigned to your ticket. You're going to get a TAM. So additionally, you're going to get ransomware specific support engineers that are supporting your case. You'll get ransomware or specific backend engineers supporting your case, as well as executive visibility on the case to make sure that we're servicing you as best as we possibly can. And from the team's perspective, working in product, they absolutely tell me that they love engaging with this team because they get to learn from people who are on the front lines, helping our clients recover from attacks. So it's a great resource to have. And what I'd like to share with you first is what a macro series of events looks like. So what does an attack look like from our perspective with our clients? What are they experiencing as an event happens? So first and foremost, okay, say our client has gone down hard. Unfortunately, these ransomware attacks, they may not encrypt all of your data, but they're certainly very capable of bringing down your environment. Or they may have detected anomalous activity. Next, once our client knows it's ransomware, they engage their incident management partner. So they can go through a series of checklists to go and identify malware. They can figure out what happened. How can we plug holes? How can we prevent it from happening again? But more importantly, how can we get our business back online? All right, then recovery begins. So this series of events that I've just described to you can take weeks or months. It really is a long and arduous process, unfortunately. But at Rubrik, what we want to do is accelerate this, right? So we want to minimize that time that it can take, and you may have experience with that, as much as we possibly can. And this is where the enterprise suite that we're able to offer customers comes into play. So first and foremost, let's use the tools to understand what has actually been encrypted versus what is down as a consequence of the attack. And that's really key to understanding where you need to focus your data recovery operations versus your scanning activities or ransomware investigation here that can help you with that and quickly understand which workloads have been encrypted. Secondly, we mentioned threat hunting. So how about you take Yara rules and stick them directly into the Rubrik platform, into Security Cloud. Let us scan your backups on your behalf and tell you when we see these IOCs, these indicators of compromise, so that we can automate our way into understanding what is my last known good backup, what is eligible for recovery. And then lastly, of course, bringing your business back online, orchestrating recovery, and that's where this solution comes into play. So let's bring your application stack back online in an orderly fashion, ready, a production state, right? So it's production ready. And we're limiting the amount of folks within your organization that you need to engage in order to bring everything back up and running, bringing your business back up online. So if you think about this in the context of a workflow, it's really end-to-end integrated ransomware recovery. And that's what we're going to continue to bolster over time with this product. So it's a great solution, with the goal being, let's minimize your downtime. Let's get you back online as quickly as we can. So people have been finding some great success with this. Customers are absolutely loving it. So with that, now that I've talked this up, I want to actually hand things over to Joe Harlan, who I introduced earlier, and he is one of our technical folks, and he is the go-to-market lead for orchestrated application recovery. And what I think is really interesting is he's going to be able to show you one of our newer capabilities that we've been working on. And we've introduced orchestrated application recovery, and I'm excited for you guys to be able to see what is going on, what's the latest, what is the power of this application that it can actually do for you. So without further ado, here you go, Joe.
All right, folks, let's take a look here at this new feature that we're calling recovery plans. Let me give you a little preface, though, before we dive right in. So in this environment, it's a small demo lab, so I only have a couple of blueprint objects. These are really web stores. They're just little WordPress stacks that actually produce these little clothing sites. Nothing too terribly exciting to look at, although some of those prices are eye-watering. But these are the two applications, essentially, that those two blueprints represent, and that's what we'll be failing over between the two sites. So in fact, here, I'm actually going to be failing these workloads into a vSphere environment that's running in the cloud. This is an Azure VMware solution, software-defined data center. And in fact, we can see the 4 VMs that make up this application pre-staged here using our RTO optimization feature of minimize recovery time. So these are fully formed virtual machines. From a capacity perspective alone, we have taken their memory and their network away as a safety feature, but these VMs are ready for a rapid recovery as quickly as we can make it happen. And so when I move to fail over these workloads, we're going to see those VMs be used in place. Now, rather than failing these two over by simply checking the box and clicking on failover, I'm going to take advantage of the new feature that is recovery plans. Now imagine, if you will, for a moment, a data center with several more blueprints than you see here, with quite a bit more complicated environment. Maybe several core infrastructure services, some ancillary services shared by several of the application environments. This type of environment is not uncommon in most large customers, and the idea of trying to fail over the entirety of a data center may seem daunting, given that breadth of systems and solutions that need to be maintained in the event of a disaster. So what the recovery plan is meant to do is allow me to take a series of blueprints and create a plan for their recovery, such that I can sequence the recovery in the opposite site. In this case, I've created a recovery plan from just my 2 blueprints, pretty modest here, but I'm calling it the Haverford Group Web Store Failover Plan. Let's take a look inside. Here we can see the 2 blueprints that I've added, as well as a boot order. Really, one of the big deal items here as part of recovery plans is that we can tell the system in what order we want this series of blueprints to fail over. Now, I could have more than one blueprint in the pole position in that 0 boot order group and have it fail over first, along with a couple of others, probably where I'd put my core infrastructure services, followed by any applications that really are kind of the key applications in the environment and depend upon those infrastructure services in order to operate, followed by maybe some less important workloads or other workloads that depend upon the ones that were failed over prior. So the idea here is that we can premeditate this plan for recovery that includes the sequence of events that need to occur in order so that everything starts gracefully and is ready for user use. So for now, in order to launch this event, I'm going to go ahead and click on the action button and say recovery, and this will take me to the recovery wizard. Here we can see the 2 blueprints that are part of the plan. I'm automatically offered the latest recovery point in time, but as usual, I could pick a previous point in time if so desired. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to stick with this one. And then I'm just going to tell it to abort and clean up, or rather continue with errors, since this is a real failover event, in the event that something goes wrong with configuring the network or running the postscripts that are used to reconnect the front end of the application to the back end database. Clicking next, I'll be asked for the confirmation phrase of recovery plan. Click confirm, and this job is on its way. Coming back to the failovers that we launched as part of that recovery plan, we can see here that the 2 blueprints that were members of that recovery plan have completed their failover recovery. So now we can come out here to the Azure VMware Solution site where they failed over to, and we can pick on the IP addresses for each of the 2 web servers. And we can see that those web stores have been returned to service. And there we have it. Both of our blueprints were successful in failing over, and both of the application stacks have completed their recovery. With orchestrated application recovery, you can recover several applications in a defined sequence as part of a recovery plan. This is really the power of the automation that the recovery plan brings. It doesn't require your operators to understand intimate details about the environment. It allows those details to be captured in a premeditated form so that they can be launched anytime they're needed.
All right, awesome, Joe. Thanks so much for giving us that demo. And everyone, what I'd like to do now is just let's bring the entire session back into focus with those key 3 areas that we started off with. So what did we say that we set out to do? Well, first of all, do more with your backup. Make your data backups work for you. Make them more valuable. Consolidate, minimize the amount of data pulls and replication systems. So, all of those things that, you may need to maintain and pay for right now. Consolidate operationally the places where your operators need to interact with different solutions too, right? So drive down certification costs. Streamline operations by consolidating the places in which ops teams and infosec teams need to interact. And, and you can do that with this product. And then lastly here, put yourself in a position to be able to prove your disaster recovery readiness. So do all the work during peacetime so that you're ready for wartime. And orchestrated application recovery is really a key component of enabling you to do this. So with that, I thank you very much for your time today. I hope you found value in it. We look forward to further proving to you that that Rubrik has your back if you need to secure your environment holistically against data loss. And in the meantime, we have other resources for you to check out that are in direct relation to orchestrated application recovery, including a technical white paper with all the details, and a blog as well with a deep dive in the for the ins and outs of this solution and how it works.
Okay, so thanks, Kim, for a great presentation, and Joe for a nice demo there. We really appreciate your time to bring us up to speed on Rubrik in a VMware environment. As Kim mentioned there were some resources. Those are available in your handout section. In there you can find the link to the near zero RPO and RTO. And then the two PDFs on orchestrated application recovery, and also that email address for more information from Rubrik was sales@rubrik.com. And as we wrap up here, we do have one more piece of business. It's the $300 Amazon gift card prize drawing. And the winner of that gift card is Randall Coert from Georgia. So congratulations to Randall. We'll be in touch to get you your card. And with that, on behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I want to thank Rubrik for making this event possible. And thanks as always for attending and for your great questions. That concludes today's event. Have a fantastic rest of your day.